Spider-Man is all about nostalgia. This character has been active in one form or the other since 1962 and continues to remain relevant even after 61 years. And the latest avatar in which the web swinger is dominating conversations is Insomniac Games' Spider-Man series of video games. The new game is titled Spider-Man 2, but it is actually the third game in the franchise, or fourth if you count the remaster of the first game. So Insomniac Games already has a lot of previous experience on which to build this sequel. There's very little to complain about, and this game ensures that you have a good time overall. But let's see what exactly this game has to offer. The story is not always the main focus in a superhero game, although it always helps to have a strong one. And luckily, Spider-Man 2 offers a plot that is just convincing enough to keep things interesting between all the hectic action taking place. Similar to the first game, there is a main villain who influences the overall story and a few other villains making surprise appearances along the way. In this case, it is Kraven the Hunter who makes his way to New York with a list of targets to hunt. Notably, all of them are well-known supervillains. And unless you haven't seen the trailers at all, you already know that Venom plays an important part in this story as well, taking over Peter Parker just like he does in the comics. Why is Kraven hunting down all these supervillains? What role does Venom play in all this? And how exactly does Miles Morales come into this mix? These are the questions that the story tackles, and the pace is good enough to keep you playing without getting bored. That said, this is a story rated for teens, so do not expect any heavy emotional themes or complex story arcs like some of PlayStation's other exclusives. In any case, a slightly light-hearted story is always nice to have after going through some emotional roller coasters like God of War Ragnarok. When the story is not dealing with supervillains, it shows us the human side of both Spider-Men who are dealing with real-life issues behind the mask. Peter is struggling to hold a steady job, and Miles is supposed to write an essay for his college admission process, which he keeps delaying as the story forces him to focus on being Spider-Man instead. And funnily enough, it's for 500 words, which is not that big. But maybe you can't understand it unless you are Spider-Man and constantly being called to fight crime. Anyway, this focus on the human side of these superheroes is what makes this story immediately relatable. This section will almost exclusively feature web swinging, because it's still so much fun to swing through New York as Spider-Man. The game has an impressive fast travel system, but I rarely bothered to use it because swinging through the city and using the new web rings wherever needed was a much more fun way to play the game than using fast travel. Combat has become a bit more complex with the addition of several gadgets and skills, some of which are common to both Spider-Man and some that are exclusive to each one. And once Peter gets the Venom suit, he gets a different set of skills that are visually impressive and also useful in combat. Web swinging and beating up enemies makes for the core gameplay loop, although there are occasional mini-games that require you to solve minor puzzles, which can be a bit of a hit or a miss. The reason these exist is so that you catch your breath just long enough before you move on to the next big fight, but they can be slightly annoying at times. You can switch between the two Spider-Men at almost any time, but each hero has their own story missions, so it's slightly more than a gimmick instead of offering true freedom in choosing who you want to play as. Each hero also has their own set of suits, which you can all unlock by playing the game, except for a few that are pre-order bonuses. There's certainly no cash shop to buy new suits, which would have been an easy source of revenue, so kudos to Insomniac for not choosing to go that way. Also, the game is completely playable offline, which is slowly becoming a rarity even for single-player games these days. Finally, the game is well optimized for the DualSense controller, although the use of the adaptive triggers for web swinging continues to be a bit disappointing. The haptics make up for this though, with each interaction in the game being accurately represented through haptic feedback on the controller. You can literally feel the weight of the situation no matter what you're doing. Being a first party studio has allowed Insomnia Games to properly harness the power offered by the PlayStation 5. Although we will no doubt see an even better looking PC version come out sometime later, the game that we have now on the PS5 is a treat to watch. New York City is delightful to be in, whether you are swinging over the rooftops at a frantic pace or taking a leisurely walk in an amusement park. Everything is very well detailed and immerses you into this world. Cutscenes are rendered with stunning cinematic quality, and all the main characters are very expressive.
Miles, I need this job. If the principal comes back and sees I'm gone, I'm gonna get fired. I know, but you gotta see this.
Even when playing on performance mode, which I did for the entire game, the visuals were constantly impressive and always reminded me that I was playing a native PS5 game. I don't have much to say in this section because honestly, not many of the tracks really stood out, but the soundtrack always kept me immersed in the game, which is the main objective anyway. The music is not bad by any measure, but not a lot of people play Spider-Man games for the music. Sound design is also done quite well, with each punch and each web swing producing a satisfying effect. Since we have two Spider-Men, you can expect double the amount of quips, but it doesn't really get tiring. The voice acting meets expectations, and Yuri Lowenthal's is especially noteworthy. If you haven't guessed already, I enjoyed my time with this game and can't recommend it enough to anyone who has a PlayStation 5. If you are a PC player, this is a must-buy whenever it launches on PC. It's a well-designed package and puts Insomnia Games in the same league as Naughty Dog or Sony Santa Monica in terms of being a reliable first-party studio delivering consistent hits.